Good morning, boys and girls. I'm Eleanor Hawkins, and welcome to Telestory Time. You know, this next week is a very special week. Yes, November the 12th through the 17th is National Children's Book Week, and we want you to celebrate it. We want you to go to any of the libraries in the Craven-Pamlico-Carteret Regional Library System where they have special programs planned for you. So be sure and remind your parents that next week is National Children's Book Week and you want to go to your public library. And now, boys and girls, I see it's time for me to read to you, and our very first story is entitled The Bunny Sitter. Miss Bell Rabbit was a bunny sitter who was busy as she could be every evening, from Monday to Saturday. Sunday evenings she saved for her friends. Although Miss Rabbit was a sitter for bunnies, she also sat for other little animal children. Now, they were all very, very fond of her. On Monday, she went to the home of Mr. and Mrs. William Goat. They had one dear little son. His name was Billy Goat, Jr., and he slept in a small brown bed, all alone, in his very own little room, and he hoped someday he would have a brother to play with. Every week Miss Rabbit read him his favorite story about mountain goats who lived in the Alps, which are high, high mountains far away in Switzerland. And Billy Goat always went to sleep quickly, with his little chin whiskers over the top of the blanket. Mondays were easy for Miss Bell Rabbit. On Tuesday, she sat for Mr. and Mrs. Ferdinand Fox. Now, they had twin boys who slept in bunk beds, one bed on top of the other. Although they were only two little foxes, Miss Rabbit had to keep extra busy watching them. When she thought they were asleep, they might really be out in the kitchen doing mischievous things, like eating up their mother's chocolate cake. But Miss Rabbit was very fond of children, so she didn't scold them too much. She just put the cake out of their reach, wiped the chocolate off their whiskers, and led them back to their bunk beds. Ho-hum, those naughty little foxes, she said to herself each Tuesday. Now, Wednesday, she went to the Thomas Cats to sit with three little kittens, two girls and a boy. In the nursery were three little beds in a row, two pink and one blue. All Miss Rabbit had to do was to give them 3 saucers of warm milk. Purr, each one said, tumbling sleepily into bed. Then they dozed cozily all evening. No trouble at all. Wednesday was very pleasant. Thursday, she hurried to the pretty home of the Pierre Poodles. Here there were 4 curly-haired children, 2 girls and 2 boys. And although they barked in French, Miss Bell Rabbit could understand them all very well. Each had a little white bed, but sometimes they didn't sleep cozily all evening, as the 3 little kittens did. The poodles were very playful children and wanted to jump up and have Miss Rabbit bounce and throw some balls for them to catch. So Miss Bell Rabbit always bounced and threw them some balls until they got tired. Then they would roll into their 4 little beds and go sound asleep. "The exercise is good for me," said Miss Rabbit to herself on Thursdays. And next it was Friday, which she saved for Mr. and Mrs. Robert Rabbit's children, all 10 of them. 5 little girl bunnies and 5 little boy bunnies. They were Miss Rabbit's distant cousins, but there were so many of them she couldn't remember all their names. They slept in 2 wide beds in the nursery with 5 pillows in each. And oh, what a scramble, helping them into 5 pairs of pajamas and 5 little nightgowns. And oh, what a time getting them to sleep. The boys wanted her to read cowboy stories, and the girls wanted Alice in Wonderland, and they all wanted drinks of water. But Miss Rabbit didn't get upset when they squealed and wiggled their ears. She just read 2 cowboy stories and 2 chapters of Alice in Wonderland. And in between, she brought them 10 drinks of water on a tray. Then at last they went to sleep with all their 20 bunny ears in 2 rows on the 10 pillows. Friday was almost the busiest night for Miss Rabbit. But Saturday was the busiest, because what do you think Miss Bell Rabbit, the bunny sitter, did? Well, she gave a party every Saturday evening from 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock for all the children she had sat with during the week. They all came promptly at 5 o'clock and crowded together on stools, the sofa, and some on the floor, because there were not enough chairs to go around in her tiny house. And each had a tray with ice cream, cookies, and pretty frosted cakes with candy carrots on the top. There were gay paper hats to wear, and they played games that were great fun. At 7 o'clock, their fathers and mothers came to take them home. Thank you for the party, dear Miss Rabbit," they all said happily, and then they kissed her good night. And the fathers and mothers said, "Miss Rabbit, we think you are the best bunny sitter in the whole wide world." And that, boys and girls, is the story of the bunny sitter. And now, boys and girls, stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a moment to show you books from the shelves of your public library. Boys and girls, as I mentioned earlier, next week is National Children's Book Week, and the theme is Get Carried Away, Read, and that's what we want you to do. Our very first book is entitled Reading Can Be Fun, and we want all of you boys and girls to realize that reading can be so much fun. And inside this book, it says, if you can read, you have the key that opens the door to the world of books. Come in. And we hope that you all can really learn that reading can be fun. Our next book is entitled Just Open a Book. Yes, that's the title. And here we have a little boy reading Robinson Crusoe. And inside we have wonderful illustrations and a very, very good book. And it's entitled Just Open a Book. Our next book is entitled Little Bug Goes to the Library. And we do want you all to be regular visitors to your public library. Inside, through illustrations and a very little reading, it tells us all the things that you can check out from your public library. Yes, this is the book entitled Little Bug Goes to the Library. And then, you know, I said I want you all to be real good readers. Well, here is the story entitled The Little Old Man Who Could Not Read. And through the pages of this book, you learn just how much trouble he did get into because he could not read. And at the beginning of the book, he didn't want to learn to read. But boys and girls, at the very end of the book, this little old man who was a toy maker decides to learn to read. It was so important. Yes, this is the little old man who could not read. And then this is a new book that I have marked, and it's entitled Good Books, Good Times. And boys and girls, through this book we have all poetry about books. Yes, this is the book entitled Good Books, Good Times. This is a very funny book. It's entitled I Took My Frog to the Library. And this is a very, very funny book because the little girl took her frog to the library and got into all kinds of trouble. Yes, this is the book I Took My Frog to the Library. And last of all, I'd like to show you this book entitled Something Queer at the Library. And this is a mystery. And inside, through pictures and reading, we have this mystery story that is entitled Something Queer at the Library. Boys and girls, any of these books can be checked out from any of the libraries in the Craven-Pamlico Carteret Regional Library System. Be sure and visit your library during National Children's Book Week this next week and check out some very good books. And now stay tuned and we'll be back with another story in just a moment. And now, boys and girls, get comfortable and ready to listen to the story of Library Day. It was Library Day. Miss Mayhew was reading a story about a clown. All the children were listening except Joe. Joe was reading a dinosaur book. "Put that book away, Joe," said Miss Mayhew, and be very careful with it. Strange things can happen in a library on Library Day. Joe didn't put the book away, and a strange thing did happen. A dinosaur jumped out of the book and ran over Joe's hand. Before Joe could catch it, the dinosaur was off over into the bookshelves. "Hey," yelled Joe, "a dinosaur came out of its picture." "Don't let it get away," shouted Miss Mayhew. The dinosaur ran up and down the top bookshelves where no one could catch it. Miss Mayhew said, "Just as well, it's a little dinosaur from a little book, or we'd be in big trouble." What will we do?" said the children. "Well, we'll think of something," Miss Mayhew replied. Then another strange thing happened. A clown stepped out of the book Miss Mayhew was reading. I'm good at catching dinosaurs," said the clown. "I'll get it for you." The clown chased the dinosaur around the library. The clown ran fast, but the dinosaur ran faster. The clown was tricky. The dinosaur was trickier. The clown got all puffed out. "I can't run anymore. I have to fly. Do you have a book about aircraft?" Miss Mayhew looked in A for aircraft, and she found a book and opened it. The clown got excited when he saw a red helicopter. That's it," he cried as he climbed into the picture. The book shook like jelly when the clown started up the helicopter's engine. The helicopter came out of its picture and swooped toward the dinosaur. Duck, everyone, cried Miss Mayhew. The dinosaur tried to hide behind some books, but the helicopter clown was too quick for it. The clown dropped a lasso around the dinosaur's tail. The dinosaur was caught. The clown took the dinosaur back to the book it had come from. Joe put the dinosaur in its picture and closed the book quickly. Then the clown flew the helicopter to the aircraft book and put it away. "Oh, thank you for your help," said Miss Mayhew. "Think nothing of it," said the clown. He waved goodbye to the children and stepped into the story Miss Mayhew had been reading. "Well, that's over," said Miss Mayhew. Miss Mayhew didn't know that a fairy tale book had been knocked down in the dinosaur chase. A strange little man climbed out of a picture and ran over the library table. As he ran, he called to the children, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." "I told you," said Miss Mayhew, "anything can happen on Library Day." And that, boys and girls, is the story of Library Day. And now stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a moment with another story just for you. And now, boys and girls, I'm going to read you the story of The Surprise in the Storybook. There was once a house with a mouse in it, a little gray mouse. Now there was a boy in the house too, and a little girl, and a mother and a father. There was no cat in this house, thank goodness. There was a cat next door, but there was a bell on the cat. Sometimes the cat came to see the boy and the girl. Then the bell went ting-a-ling, ting-a-ling, ting-a-ling. It was easy for the little mouse to keep away from that cat. Little Gray Mouse was very happy in the house. He liked the boy and the girl. He liked the good things the mother cooked. He liked his cozy little home in the wall. And then there was something he liked best of all. Best of all, he liked the bedtime story. Every night the father took out a big storybook with beautiful pictures, and every night he read a story to the boy and the girl. Every night Little Gray Mouse came out of his home in the wall to hear the story. Now sometimes the story was about clowns, and sometimes the story was about animals, and sometimes the story was about a prince and a princess, and sometimes the story was about boys and girls of long ago. Every morning the Little Gray Mouse thought about the story he would hear that night. Would it be the Three Little Pigs? Would it be the Little Red Hen? Or would it be Cinderella? The Little Gray Mouse liked them all. But it was hard to wait for the bedtime story. One morning Little Gray Mouse said, "Maybe I can just peek at the pictures." And he ran into the room of the boy and the girl right to the storybook. What a good time he had. He saw pictures of Cinderella. He knew that story. He saw pictures of the Three Little Pigs. He knew that story. He saw pictures of the Little Red Hen. He knew that story too. But then Little Gray Mouse stopped. What was this? It was a picture of three bears, a little bear, a middle-sized bear, and a big bear. There was a little girl in the picture, too. I do not know this story, said the mouse. Oh, I wish I could hear it. I hope the father reads this story tonight. But that night, the boy wanted to hear Cinderella again. And the next night, the little girl wanted to hear the Three Little Pigs again. The little gray mouse thought he would never hear the story he wanted. Then one night, the father took out the storybook and began to read. Once there were 3 bears. That's it, thought the little gray mouse. That's my story. And he sat very, very still. The bears in the story went for a walk. The little girl saw the bear's house in the woods. She did not know it was the bear's house, so she went in. But now the bears were coming back. Oh my, thought the little gray mouse, what will they do now? He just could not wait to find out. Ting-a-ling, ting-a-ling. It was the cat next door. He was coming into the house. As fast as the bell went ting, little gray mouse ran back to his home in the wall. The little mouse sat in his cozy little mouse house till the cat went home. Then he ran out. He could not wait to hear the rest of the story. But the little boy and the little girl were sound asleep. The story was over. Oh dear, said the mouse. What did the 3 bears do next? What did the little girl do next? He just had to find out. So the next night, little gray mouse ran into the room and he sat very, very still. He could not wait to hear all about the 3 bears. But the father did not read the 3 bears. He read Cinderella. Oh dear, said the little gray mouse. The next night he ran into the room again and he sat very still. He wanted to hear the rest of the story of the 3 bears. But the father read the Little Red Hen. Oh dear, said the mouse again. Now the next morning he ran over to the storybook. He looked and he looked and he looked at the pictures of the 3 bears. Now what did the little girl do in the bear's house? And what did the bears do next? I must find out, said the little gray mouse. I must. He looked around the room. He saw blocks and a ball and a train and a doll and a truck and a dollhouse. And then he saw a ribbon, a bright red ribbon. I know what I can do, said the little gray mouse. Oh, he was so happy that he jumped up and down on the storybook. Now, the next night the father took out the big storybook. He saw the red ribbon. Look, he said to the little girl, here is your ribbon. I didn't put it there, said the little girl. I didn't put it there, said the little boy. What was the father going to do? Would he read Cinderella again? Would he read the 3 Little Pigs? Would he read a story about a clown or a prince? The little mouse could not wait to find out. Well, said the father, the ribbon is right at the story of the 3 bears. So, this is the story I will read. Now, no one looked around in the room. No one saw the little gray mouse, but there he sat, very, very still, and very, very happy. Now at last he was going to find out what the 3 little bears did next. And do you know, boys and girls, to this day, that is the favorite story of the little gray mouse. And boys and girls, that is the story of the surprise in the storybook. I see I have time to remind you to be sure and go to your public library sometime during next week because it's National Children's Book Week. Get carried away is the theme. Get carried away, read. And we want you to learn that reading can really be fun. And at all the libraries in the Craven-Pamlico Carteret Regional Library System, they're having very special programs for you next week. So be sure and talk with your parents this afternoon and tell them to mark their calendar to go to your public library sometime next week and listen to the good stories. And boys and girls, I want to remind you to be sure and tune in to Telestory Time next Saturday morning. Until then, this is Eleanor Hawkins saying bye-bye for Telestory Time.